Drake Maye has the potential, I think, to go down in NFL history as the most accurate passer, thrower of the football ever, by the time that it's all said and done. How's that for an opening hook? This is not clickbait, I'm not sensationalizing, I'm not engagement farming, and I'm not even talking delusionally here. I'm not projecting. Well, I am projecting a bit, but I'm grounding this point, this theory of mine in biomechanics, in factual, observable things about Maye as a quarterback in relation to other quarterbacks, how they function, and how certain terms and truths are treated in this sport, namely accuracy in and of itself. And mechanics. I want to talk about mechanics. If you made it past my first sentence and decided open-mindedly that I might be acting in good faith here, which I promise you I am, I'm trying to, then please hear me out, because I think this is fascinating, even if I end up being wrong. Okay? I'm okay with that. You can come back to this video in like a decade, if you want. I will be here checking the comments. So to start this pitch of mine, we gotta start at the start, right? Accuracy. Is there any merit thus far to the idea that Drake Maye could be historically accurate? Is there any element here that does not need to be projected? What do we have so far? I think we have a lot, and we'll start with the basics, alright? Pending Sunday Night Football, at the time of me recording this, because I could not wait for that game to even end, Drake Maye is the most accurate quarterback in football this season, using our most basic metric. Completion percentage. Maye's completion percentage of 76% leads the league. Accuracy. Maye just became one of like 3 quarterbacks ever to have 4 consecutive games in which his passer rating was above 100 and he threw for more than 200 yards. There was a stretch this season where Maye nearly broke a Tom Brady record related to completion percentage and passing touchdowns. Maye has been accurate, notably so in all of the traditional senses. Success rate as well, although that's a bit more zoomed out. When Maye drops back, he is leading the league in successful drop back rate. A lot of that, if you're a quarterback, you could assume, if we're talking about play-to-play consistency here, would again be tied to completion percentage. But we don't need to stray too far from the original point. Drake Maye is accurate in the basic way, but Drake Maye is also accurate in the advanced way, just using computers to look at this stuff. And I can back that up because on top of leading the league in completion percentage, Drake Maye leads the league in completion percentage over expected. Now, completion percentage over expected, this is an interesting advanced metric. There are a couple of different ways to chart it. The website Sumer Sports, a data website, they released an article not too long ago about how to make sense of this metric. Generally speaking, the metric uses 2 data points from wide receivers, 2 pieces of tracking data in relation to defensive backs, the nearest defensive back, to decide how open a receiver is at 2 points when the ball is thrown and when the ball arrives, to in turn decide how likely the receiver was to catch that ball. How open were they? How much separation was there? How many times are you completing passes that generally, on average, are not completed, are expected to be completed or not? CPOE. Drake Maye leads in this too. I noted this recently when I was talking about Drake Maye's excellence on third down. The guy was the best quarterback in the league through 4 weeks on third down leading up to the Bills game last week, where he was excellent again. We are talking like Carson Wentz 2017 outlier levels. More than that, actually, paired with an insane completion percentage over expected, an unsustainable one that through the 2 weeks that have followed has been sustained. All of the data will tell you that Drake Maye is excellent in obvious pass situations, and in passing situations just in general. Regular drop back? Sure. Open receiver? Sure. Third down drop back? Sure. Covered receiver? Sure. Traditional metrics favor Maye. That's point 1 here. Now, point 2, it goes off of point 1. We're talking about accuracy, right? Because on top of traditional metrics favoring Maye here, in terms of his arm and his accuracy, the eye test would favor Drake Maye. And this point's gonna get somewhere, I promise. I'm not saying eye test like it's something meaningful, because there is a specific type of eye test throw that Drake Maye is really, really great at, and that is the back shoulder ball. NFL analyst and writer Ollie Connolly hopped on the NFL Daily podcast, I believe that's what it's called, a couple of days ago, and gave the following take about Drake Maye. He was not sure that there are 5 guys in the sport right now who are better at throwing back shoulder passes than Drake Maye. As is. The guy's 23. He's younger than me. I'm telling you that somebody else said this, just so you know. It's not just me here. Drake Maye is phenomenal at these. He plays the sideline like nobody else in this sport. And that's really significant because the sideline creates this fun conversation about the different types of space that exist in this sport and how they can be weaponized. I promise not to get off track here either, but think about it like basketball for a second. In the game of basketball, you can be a good shooter in more than one way, can't you? You can knock down open threes at a pretty significant rate. That would make you a great shooter. We're talking Tua, Brock Purdy, Kyle Korver, 3-point specialists, who are phenomenal at repeating a specific type of motion. That is a form of accuracy. But that's not the only type of accuracy, because the other type of accuracy that matters is accuracy on contested jumpers, passes, when there is not space to be had. I had a conversation on Twitter recently where I likened the back shoulder sideline ball in football to a fadeaway mid-range shot at like the buzzer. A fadeaway mid-range shot in basketball where you have enough touch, wherewithal, and skill to specifically target like the backboard and put that final bit of English intention on the ball itself as you cast it off. These throws and shots really stand out in these games of space, football and basketball, because they remind us that ultimately, at the end of the day, space in sports is not really defined by the proximity of the nearest defender in relation to you. It is defined by the amount of space related to the traveling ball in relation to where that ball is headed. You can be 99% contested in basketball, but if you get that shot off, if you're Kevin Durant here, you found the space. You did what you wanted to do. I feel like that same sort of thought process here, sort of truth, applies to something like a back shoulder ball in football, where somebody is not open in a traditional person-on-person sense, but they are open in terms of a football heading to target sense. Drake Maye's eye test passing ability to nail back shoulder passes consistently, to me, embodies the idea that once you clear a certain accuracy threshold, athleticism threshold, like size threshold, ball control threshold, you actually change and manipulate the rules and perceptions surrounding space in whatever sport you play, whatever we're talking about. Drake Maye's accuracy is space bending and perspective altering, which leads me to point 3 here, because I don't mean for this to be baseless glaze. Point 3 here to me is something that I was reminded of while watching the Saints game today before Drake Maye nailed his final back shoulder pass to Kayshon Boutte in this game. It was a 3rd and 11 dig route to Mac Hollins. On the play, on the completion, Drake Maye nailed his pass as per usual this season, and the throw itself stuck out to me because Drake Maye's feet were not on the ground when he attempted it. Drake Maye was in the air. Drake Maye's feet were not a part of the picture. This was a baseless throw for my non-baseless argument point. Drake Maye's accuracy is not constrained or defined by his mechanics. That's the last thing that I kind of realized about Drake Maye while watching this game. And that matters a lot here too, in relation to points 1 and 2, because it paints a very specific picture for the type of quarterback he is. He is a quarterback that is favored by the metrics in terms of accuracy. He is a quarterback who rewrites the meaning of space in the game that he plays and manipulates that space with his arm talent. And he is a player who plays with unorthodox mechanics. He changes the meaning of sound mechanics, good mechanics, correct mechanics, non-traditional mechanics, a non-traditional approach to space, and traditional favorability, favored by the traditional judges here, the numbers. You know who that reminds me a lot of? You might be thinking of his name right now, maybe not. I guess there is like one other guy, a modern guy who you could say right here. But the OG here to me that this reminds me of, he's still in the league right now, but he is an OG, is Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers did this stuff first. And Aaron Rodgers, to this point in NFL history, I would say had the most talented arm in NFL history. Was, therefore, to me, by my definition, the most accurate. Maybe you're going to say like Tom Brady was the most accurate quarterback ever to you. I would not necessarily disagree. I would just say that there were throws that Aaron Rodgers made in his career that Tom Brady never made and could not make, I would argue. And I do not think the inverse is true. And that's why I'm comparing Drake Maye to Aaron Rodgers here, because I think that Rodgers is the standard, and I think Maye can exceed his standard, surpass it. So Drake Maye, Aaron Rodgers, what's the connection? Can a connection be drawn? Yes. Yes, there can. And this is what it is. A couple of weeks ago, I don't know if you knew this, but somebody asked Drake Maye where he got his throwing mechanics from, how he learned to hold a football. And what Drake Maye said was this: I looked up how to hold a football and I saw Aaron Rodgers. I copied Aaron Rodgers. I learned from Aaron Rodgers. That's what Drake said. Drake Maye says that he throws like Aaron Rodgers. And if you're watching him throw, if you watch him play, I think you would agree with that, especially this season as he's been peaking with his powers, relatively, like thus far. Now, what's interesting about Aaron Rodgers here in relation to accuracy, space, and mechanics is this. It's not just Aaron Rodgers' grip that defines who he is as a quarterback and why he is so accurate. I've talked about this with Patrick Mahomes before in the past, actually, how he grips the football in a really unorthodox way. It's kind of like on the back of the ball. You can see that baseball player in him. It gives him a lot of wrist mobility. Grip affects accuracy, is my point. That was one of my claims going into this investigation of Drake and Aaron. And so looking into Aaron, I found that he has what is called the 2-5-1 grip style. There's this guy, I love him. He has his own site, many social media accounts, qbgrip.com. He's got his own numbering system for this stuff. The first number, 2 in this case, that's which lace your ring finger's on. The 5 is which lace your pinky aligns with, and the 1 is how many fingers you have on the football, alright? Aaron Rodgers is 251, as is Drake Maye. And so the question is, what makes 251 special? And the answer is actually nothing, because if you look into it, it's actually one of the most common types of grips in NFL history. Josh Allen has it, Sam Darnold has it, Geno Smith has it. It's really prominent. So it's not the grip itself. So is it the arm angle? Well, no, it's not that too, because Aaron Rodgers is not defined by one arm angle, one in particular. He is known to throw from all different ones. That's kind of his thing. That's why he is the most special arm talent. So what is it? Is it the base? Could it be the base then? Well, no, absolutely not. If you watch Aaron Rodgers play, you would know that his transfer of power in his lower half is absolutely something that he has drilled and something that he operates, runs with intention. But you would also know that his arm has been magnificent his entire career, independent of that base, oftentimes. Some of his best throws are without that base, so it's not the base either. And so what does that leave us with? Well, shout out again to my guy at qbgrip.com, because as I was researching for this video, guess what I learned? And maybe you knew this already. Aaron Rodgers does something very specific with the way that he holds the football. He slightly distances his fingers from the ball because of the angle that he tilts his wrist at. I'm hoping my editor's helping me out here and flashing some Aaron Rodgers imagery so you can get a sense of what I'm talking about. A-Rod's wrist is what allows him to be an incredibly special thrower of the ball. His wrist mobility and what it unlocks for the rest of his upper body. And now I'm going to do something really weird to accentuate why I see this same trait in Drake Maye and what makes that so dangerous. I'm going to punch you. Today's video is sponsored by SeatGeek. As some of you guys might know, I moved to New York City recently, like September 1st. I came here for the obvious reason that it is a cool place to be, and a big part of that is, of course, all of the things that there are to do and to see. I want to catch a Giants game. I want to catch a Yankees game. There's so much that I want to catch, and that is why I want to give SeatGeek a shout out. With over 35 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. There are more than 70,000 events listed on SeatGeek. Concerts, sports, festivals. We've got football. We've got the MLB playoffs, the NBA coming up. SeatGeek's gotcha. Every ticket is rated on a scale of 1 to 10, so you know whether you're getting a good deal or not. Look for the green dots. Green means good, red means bad. Plus, every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee. And of course, I've got a code. You can use code my last name, Lawson, Lawson, for 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. That's 10% off any tickets with promo code Lawson. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app and have the code automatically added to your account so you can use it later. Thank you so much again to SeatGeek. Now back to the video. So Josh Allen, he grips the ball pretty straight on with this 251 grip, alright? Most quarterbacks do. And most quarterbacks, like a Tom Brady, a Geno Smith, a Sam Darnold, guys who have used the 251, well, what they do when they throw the football, generally speaking, is they just kind of, straight grip. They're just going to punch you straight on. Like I said, I'm punching you, punching the camera. That's what they do. And if I'm in a fight and I'm trying to aim straight on to anywhere that an opponent might be in front of me, this is a pretty good way to do it, right? If you tilt your shoulders, your upper body up, down, to the sides, you can find an angle. You're going to find somewhere to get at them. Also, I'm a lefty. I don't know if you can tell. So that's what a normal wrist rotation for a quarterback looks like. It's pretty straight, and you're just kind of firing at that angle. Sure. The thing about Aaron Rodgers that I see in Drake Maye, that I view as the ultimate, you are accurate in a way that other people can't be accurate, enabler, term trait unlocker, is this. If the goal of landing a punch was to not break your wrist, you do the traditional thing, right? You just punch straight. But if the goal was just to get your knuckles to connect to whatever you're aiming for, and you tilted that wrist a little bit, I gotta keep myself in frame here, well, you could kind of punch at these wider angles, these wind-up angles, and you could really, really manipulate with your wrist and your wrist only where those knuckles end up. I don't know if this is making sense. I really hope it does. You're not going to worry about breaking your wrist in football. And so if you unlock that wrist, if it's really fluid and flexible, and you rotate with your upper body to your maximum potential, use that full range of motion, you then, as a thrower here, as a knuckle thrower, a ball thrower, a football thrower, have the ability, I believe, to connect on punches with throws to receivers that no other quarterbacks are capable of doing. I firmly believe this, and I see this in Drake Maye, and I saw this in Aaron Rodgers. That is why I am so excited about this kid as a quarterback. That is why I believe what I believe, why I gave the opening statement that I did. Because not only does Drake Maye have the same throwing mechanics as Aaron Rodgers, he is also capable of generating open throws more often than Aaron Rodgers, because he, if you didn't know, has legs. He's pretty fast. He doesn't have to take throws that he does not want to take. So metric-wise here, he's going to have less forced passes over the course of his career. You've seen late-stage Aaron Rodgers, now that he's not as mobile, attempt those back shoulder balls a whole lot more. Drake's never really going to have to end up like that. Maybe not till way later. Drake added more expected points on the ground last season than just about any quarterback in football. He was like top 6, 7. This season, I believe it's the same deal. When Drake needs to, he can hit these tight windows downfield. And more often than not, especially because of his offensive coordinator, his play caller, veteran guy, Josh McDaniels, I firmly believe that for a while in this league, Drake's going to have a lot of easy buttons. And I believe that he can also press all of the hard ones. And if that, all in all, is not enough to sell you on Maye, then I don't know what would be. I think the funny thing when I think about Drake Maye discourse and what he could be in this league and what he might not be is the fact that I feel like of the modern generation of quarterbacks who are dual threat guys in the true sense, basically everyone to enter the NFL since Patrick Mahomes started this revolution, explosive play revolution, quarterback-centric revolution, you know, everything tied to too high discourse. It's the fact that, like, Lamar came into the league and nobody was like Lamar. Josh Allen came into the league and nobody was like Josh Allen. I mean, I guess you heard some white Cam Newton comps, but he was pretty obviously his own chaotic player. Justin Herbert was kind of the first of his kind. Jaden Daniels was also the first of his kind, very much. I learned that the hard way, making my bad comps for him pre-draft. Drake Maye, though, maybe you disagree here, but all I ever heard pre-draft was just how much he reminded everybody of pre-existing guys. Oh, he's like if Josh Allen and Justin Herbert had a baby. Stuff like that, right? The thing, though, to me about Maye when I watch Maye is that, especially because of this throwing motion thing, I don't see anybody else in him when he plays. I see the lower half of, like, Justin Jefferson. He's high-waisted. He's got skinny legs. He kind of gallops. And I see the upper body of, like, Aaron Rodgers again. We've never really seen that combo ever before. I don't see the laser straight-on punch style of a guy like Josh Allen who revamped his mechanics in the NFL to maximize efficiency, or Justin Herbert who has been a cyborg this whole time. I've not seen that. And this unorthodoxy of Maye, funny enough, I mean, I guess this kind of applies to a guy like Jaden Daniels too, in a different way for JD, but it's why Maye was so doubted coming into the league in the first place, by the people who did doubt him. JT O'Sullivan, I'm a huge fan of his work. He was high on Maye, to be clear. But I remember when I was listening to my, like, pre-draft info on guys like Maye, the other quarterbacks in the draft too, O'Sullivan talked about Maye's accuracy and his sprays, and he posed a very respectable, valid question. If he's so good, why does he not hit good? You know, like the Moneyball line? Because Drake Maye kind of sprayed the football a lot in college. He had a lot of, like, bad misses, in spite of all of his high-level connections. And a lot of people said this about Maye, too. His mechanics are really unorthodox. The Patriots should not start him immediately. Good thing I have receipts saying they should have started him immediately. People said that he was too rogue, too wild, that he needed to get all of his bad habits trained out, that he needed to get his mechanics straightened out. And I mean, the reason for all of this is kind of the final point I want to end on, is the fact that our understanding of what mechanics are in this game, I think in this day and age, is only half the piece of puzzle. Because I believe that regardless of the position here, when you reach a certain athletic threshold in this sport, mechanics overall are kind of like putting tricycle wheels on a BMX bike doing a stunt. Sure, they might help. They really might, truly. And it's good to know them. It's good to understand why your lower half connects to your upper half and how that generates power and how if you have those things misaligned, you might miss a lot of throws. All that stuff, right? But at some point, if you have like a one-of-one arm on a one-of-one frame, I'm talking A-Rod, Maye here, guys who clearly had a gift before they started throwing this way. Maye just his build. Rodgers, remember, he entered the league with the ball up high. If you've cleared that baseline, then you don't need the training wheels as much, I don't think. And I would wager that's where a lot of people got Maye wrong. Sure, a guy like Tua, for example, or a guy like Tom Brady, even when he came into the league, Guys who can bike, punch in a straight line at fast enough speeds, well, I'm sure they've always greatly appreciated having this sort of foundational knowledge about traditional quarterback play, punching, biking, and how you might mess it up if you get a little too reckless, loosey-goosey, if you veer off the trail. I'm doing so many different figurative language things here, it's confusing me. My point here, though, is for quarterbacks of the past, for pocket-passing quarterbacks and traditional punchers and bikers, mechanics have always been a science that has had boundaries. You're not going to leave the pocket, leave the trail, risk breaking your wrist, so you should read the texts, the foundational texts, as to how to do this stuff the right way, and how to get to where you're going at maximum velocity, you know? That's how this used to be in the quarterbacking game, but I don't think that's how it is now, and I think a guy like Drake Maye really embodies that, because Drake Maye is not biking in a straight line here, and he's not only trying to connect on traditional straight punches. Drake Maye, he's looking off the trail. He's looking at the side of your head and saying, well, what if I connected there? Right? That's what he's doing. And so sure, he can have the training wheels here and a bit of foundational knowledge, because sometimes you do just go straight. But in all these other instances, when he's biking in a loop or whatever, that knowledge just isn't that helpful. And if anything, it's a bonus trait of his that he doesn't really care about it, in that instead he's pushing the boundaries, pushing the limits here. That is what I get so fired up about Drake Maye about. I hope you still follow me, but like, this to me is what the future of sports is all about. It's about people pushing boundaries, limits, questioning everything, redefining our concept of space, separation, accuracy, good mechanics. To me, Drake Maye embodies all of that, a lot of that. And he's also just a cool guy to do so. I mean, he's like the youngest sibling of a bunch of like UNC hoopers. I said it already, but he's got this great supporting cast, like a pretty stable offensive environment, good team. It's just hard not to root for the guy, I think, on a number of fronts. And I think that when you recognize the potential here and the way that it correlates with a guy of a previous generation who did something similar in Aaron Rodgers, well, then you can become really appreciative of what Maye might mean to this sport, what he may mean to this sport. I understand that Maye is on the Patriots, and so you might not want to root for him because of that. I understand that he's also, again, only 23, that anything could happen in his career, that maybe this is just a hot streak against bad defenses. I get all that, trust me, I do, but thinking big and dreaming big is kind of what I do on this channel if you haven't gathered. And I think that this guy is a great example of why that's what I'm going to keep doing, because it's fun. It gets me excited. I think it should get everybody excited. This thinking, I'm saying, not Maye specifically. Maybe you're a Dolphins fan or something. But yeah, I mean, one last time, to me, that's what football is all about. That's what all this stuff is all about. That's what, like, directing your attention should be all about. Finding things that get you going. And that, for me, Drake Maye definitely does. So I hope you found this interesting. I hope you liked this video, and I hope you have a great week. Thanks for watching. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you found it interesting. I had a lot to say here. I hope I articulated myself well enough. I hope that you found my points to be coherent and not biased, because I may or may not be a Patriots fan. But yeah, I mean, I think this conversation about him is really interesting and really fun, and these sorts of conversations are why I have this channel in the first place, my long-form thoughts. I also want to quickly address, I saw some comments on my last video, my AI video, where I was showing you guys the Sumer Brain tool that I thought's pretty cool, LLM. I know some commenters on my last video thought that, you know, I'm just going to get taken over by AI now that I found a tool that helps me sort through football data and helps make that data accessible. I don't know what to tell you guys. That was never going to be the case. It did hurt my feelings a little bit to get misinterpreted by the few people who did. It is what it is. Just figured I would make it clear that no, my style is not changing. And my approach to the game of football is not changing. It's just my approach to data that can be overwhelming that will change for the better, for the more efficient. But yeah, this is what this channel is for. It's a place to keep conversation going. I say that every video, and that's for good reason. And I hope you found this conversation fun. I really do. As always, please leave a comment. Tell me what you're thinking, how you're feeling. This is my place to interact. So thank you once more if you've stuck around to this point. And once more, I hope you have a great week. You know where else to find me. See you soon.